So today, we're going to try and deconstruct the worldview of Harshvardhan Jain. He's one of India's most popular motivational speakers, but his philosophy, well, it can feel like a total paradox. It really turns a lot of conventional wisdom on its head. So let's dive in and try to figure out what he's really saying.
You know, most motivational speakers are all about the hustle, right? They're screaming, go faster, never stop. But Jain's core message is often the complete opposite. He says, stop, pause, wait. And that's really the central puzzle we're going to solve today. Why would a guy who inspires millions of people tell them to hit the brakes? Well, the answer starts to unfold when you hear some of his other, even stranger claims.
Now, what's so interesting is how he builds his philosophy. He often starts with these statements that sound completely illogical. Like this one. He claims a cow is stronger than a lion, the king of the jungle. I mean, how could that possibly be true? It hooks you in, makes you wonder what he's getting at.
And it doesn't stop there. Get this, in a world that's obsessed with fresh, organic everything, Jain actually argues that eating stale food is a good thing. It almost feels like he's trying to confuse us on purpose. But trust me, there's a method to the madness. Each of these bizarre claims is really just a doorway into one of his deeper principles.
And here it is, our first major clue. The stop he talks about isn't about giving up, not at all. It's about strategy. He compares it to a lion gathering its strength, taking a couple of steps back before making that huge, powerful leap. This power of the pause is all about reconnecting with your purpose before you act. So his philosophy isn't just about motivation, it's about alignment.
Okay, to really get a handle on Jain's ideas, we first have to explore his view on reality itself. I'm talking about what he believes exists beyond the limits of what we see every day, and even what modern science tells us is possible.
Jain basically argues that science isn't some fixed rulebook, it's an evolving lens. Think about it. What science today might dismiss as pseudoscience is really just something we don't have the tools to measure yet. He believes that ancient thinkers, like Buddha and Mahavir, understood concepts like the atom thousands of years before we did. So for him, today's mystery is just tomorrow's discovery.
And he takes this idea way further. He doesn't just believe in, say, ghosts. Drawing from these ancient traditions, he lays out a whole systematic classification of different unseen beings. He argues that our reality is populated by entities like Pishakas, Gandharvas, and Yakshas. According to him, these aren't just myths from old stories. They're different categories of life in a complex spiritual ecosystem that most of us just can't perceive. All right, so we've established his belief in this unseen, deeper reality. Now, let's see how that belief helps him reinterpret core concepts we all think we know, like power and justice. And yeah, this is where we finally solve that riddle of the cow and the lion.
Okay, here's the breakdown. The lion's power, it comes from its ego. The lion thinks, I am the boss. I have no master. The cow, on the other hand, operates from a place of submission. It understands, I have a master. So in Jain's parable, when they're both stuck in quicksand, the lion dies because, well, no one is coming for it. But the cow is saved because its master will eventually come looking for his property.
And this really gets to the heart of it all. For Jain, submission, or samarpan, is the ultimate power. See, it's not weakness, it's the profound strength you get when you dedicate yourself to something bigger, a higher purpose, a guru, a divine force. He believes that when you have a master in this sense, you are never, ever truly alone or helpless.
He applies this exact same kind of reframing to the idea of justice. He argues that nature itself isn't unjust. A lion killing its prey, that's just part of its code for survival. The real injustice, he claims, happens when humans, who don't need to, cause harm just for the sake of taste or pleasure or ego. We act out of indulgence, not necessity, and that's the difference. So, okay, how does all this big picture philosophy actually translate into practical advice? Let's shift gears from these abstract ideas to how Jain suggests we manage our own internal worlds. You know, things like anger and stress.
This is a classic dilemma, right? When you get angry, modern therapy might say, let it out, go to a rage room. But traditional wisdom might tell you to suppress it, to hold it in. Jain says, what if you don't have to do either? He proposes a third path.
He presents our emotions as having 6 different colors, or hues, that move from dark to light. So the most destructive emotion, let's say wanting to tear down a whole tree just to get one piece of fruit, that's Krishna, or black. The purest state, like just picking up the fruit that's already fallen, is Shukla, or white. His advice isn't to fight the emotion, it's to simply know it. Just observe it.
Ask yourself, is my mind in a state of kneel or kaput right now? By simply being aware, you can gently guide it from a destructive state to a much purer one.
Now, what about stress? John's diagnosis is incredibly simple. He argues that all stress, for all of humanity, comes down to one single failure: not doing the right thing at the right time. He believes every single problem we have, from our health to our relationships, stems from this one fundamental misalignment.
To make this idea really concrete, he lays out a kind of timeline for life. In your 20s, it's time to leave childish things behind. In your 50s, it's time to start stepping back from business. Stress pops up when, for example, a 40-year-old is still acting like they're 20. Peace comes from accepting and acting in line with the natural rhythm and stage of your life.
So this all brings us to the biggest questions of all, doesn't it? Are our lives pre-written? How much control do we actually have over our own destiny?
We've all heard that saying, as the mind, so the destiny. The idea that your mindset creates your future. Well, Jain flips this completely on its head. He often argues the exact opposite. As the destiny, so the mind. He suggests that our predetermined karma often shapes our thoughts and actions to lead us toward a specific outcome, whether we even realize it or not.
But, and this is a huge but, this doesn't mean we're helpless puppets. This is where the crucial concept of purusharth, or self-effort, comes in. This is your free will. It's the power you have right now, in this very moment. You can think of it like this. Your past karma might create the landscape, but your present actions, your purusharth, determine how you navigate it. And that can absolutely change your future.
And what this all comes down to is this. For any event to happen, Jain says 5 cosmic factors have to align perfectly. You need your inherent nature, swabhava, your self-effort, purusharth, the right timing, kalabdhi, the inevitable path of destiny, hanhar, and finally an external catalyst, a nimit. Real success only happens when all 5 of these forces come together at the same time.
And that brings us to his final and maybe most powerful message. How do you get all these forces to align in your favor? He says the key is to shift your goal from selfish ambition to selfless service. The moment your work becomes about helping humanity, you transcend personal fear. Your mission becomes bigger than you are, and he believes the entire universe then conspires to support you. And that leaves us with a pretty big question. Is the ultimate motivation not about getting, but about giving?